Hello, and welcome to the Here to Uplift Podcast, where we center the stories of impactful changemakers, entrepreneurs, and community leaders who have done the hard work of uplifting themselves through adversity to get where they are today, and now uplift others along the way in their journeys. I'm Lolo Fisher, your host, lover of all things wellness, healing, and empowerment, and I would greatly appreciate if you show us your support by liking, subscribing, and sharing this podcast with others. Let's get into it. Today, my special guest is Dominique Bland. Dominique, or who I often refer to as Dom, is impacting so many women in a positive way through the world of beauty. She has been a signed model since she was 16 years old, having recently walked at New York Fashion Week in her 30s, is a licensed esthetician doing lashes, waxing, eyebrows, skincare, the works, honey, and has assorted entrepreneurial investments and work she does behind the scenes as well. All of this while raising her beautiful, strong, brilliant 3 children. In today's chat, I asked Dom about the journey that led up to her work in the beauty world and the hard life lessons she learned along the way, and she is so transparent with us about the delicate balance of family, finances, and finding that personal joy and confidence. I can't wait for y'all to hear this. Listen up, listen closely, take notes. Here we go with Dominique Bland. So...
And I'm talk show host.
Right, and I'm like, wait, I'm supposed to just be asking questions. Why am I freaking out right now? But yeah, that's it. It's like, I know I get excited like talking to you, talking to people. And like you said, you listen a lot, right? But those moments that you give pieces are like so powerful, I feel like, well, girl, if you think about it this way, it's like, oh, like that was exactly what I needed to hear. So it's like, how do I like recreate a setting where like we're just talking naturally, but those same nuggets still like come out for like somebody else to get without trying.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So I think that's like my goal with the podcast is like, you've inspired me in a lot of ways. So how do I just like share that with people?
And do you know that I listen so much to people that I feel people know me, but they don't know me. They don't know anything about me.
Yeah, they feel a connection to you just like presence-wise.
Yeah.
But we're not hearing like your story.
No, I think they know me because they developed this, they're comfortable talking to me. They done told me a lot about their life. And when you tell somebody about their life, that just gives them a connection
Trust,
to you.
Yeah.
So they feel like, oh, I know her. I told her secrets about me. I told her my life. So now I know her. And they don't know me.
That's kind of juicy. Like, you know what I mean?
They don't know
if
nothing.
you like receiving secrets without telling any of yours, here's the business
Yes. And I've noticed that with a lot of people. And I'm like, but they don't ask questions about me because they're so indulged in the conversation that they're having, that everything they're telling me.
Yeah.
But then so when it's over, they don't really ask questions. They just get more comfortable talking about themselves.
Yeah.
And it unravels like that. So a lot of people know me, but they don't know me.
Okay, but how does it feel to like absorb that? Because I feel like that's you have to have your energy in the right place if you're constantly hearing people's stories.
Yeah, and I feel like I'm an empath because of it.
Definitely.
I don't think it affects me as much as it should. I'm just so used to it.
Well, I don't think it should. That's my point. And I think that's where I'm challenged with. So maybe you can help me with this. I think as a healer in some ways, as an empath, it's like people are always sharing. And I feel like I used to be better actually about just like having so much space to receive. But now that I'm like doing so much on my own, I have so much change going on in my own life. It's like I still want to be there for people, but with the layer of like not taking it home. You know? And
unpacking it all before you.
Yeah, and it's like I go through these phases where I'm like really good at it. Like, yes, I can receive it. And then like, you know, we transition. I like step away from it. But lately I'm like, no, what that person said is like still in my head. It's still in my heart. Like I'm having trouble, or maybe like somebody's energy just wasn't right. And I feel like I absorb it kind of quickly lately. And I don't know if that's just me not having my same grounding practices or like the curse of an empath. I don't know. What do you do to like make sure you don't take it home?
I wouldn't say I'm nonchalant about things, but it's very hard for anything to get under my skin. And I'm not bothered. I'm not judgmental. So you can tell me something. We can talk about something deep right now. And I can take the gems out of that And those gems are the only thing I take. I don't take any negativity away from that. I only listen to the gems, not the negativity. So then when I leave, subconsciously, it sticks with me.
Yeah.
But other than that, I don't think about like, damn, that really just bothered me.
Yeah.
I don't let things bother me. It takes more energy for me to think about the negative than the positive. So that's what I take away from it.
That's true. Okay.
I don't let a lot of things bother me. And a lot of people get mad. Why are you so nonchalant? It's not that I'm nonchalant. I just refuse to let whatever you're dealing with affect me in a negative light.
Has it always been that way though, or did you like train yourself to get there?
I would want to say I've always been like that. I think I had to be like that. Because I feel like a lot of things it stems from childhood.
Yeah.
So back then, I wasn't very popular with the boys or with anybody. I was tall, I was dark skinned, and then comparing myself to my sister who was body light skinned, she's a half breed. I really had to stop thinking about the negative. So maybe I did work on it. I had to stop thinking about the negative and just work towards what was positive for me, because that was rough. My childhood was, I wanted to be like her. I wanted to be so much like my sister because she was light skinned and everybody just gravitated towards her. So I'm like, that's what I want. This is what I want to be. This is how I want to look. And not until I started modeling is when I was like, oh, I do look good. My skin is, that my complexion is wanted. So it wasn't until I started modeling that I felt good about myself.
Yeah.
But I guess I did have to train myself to not take away the negative because I was dealing with so much when I was younger.
But you did it so young that it's like
yes.
translated into your
I was talked about. I was bullied. For being dark, skinny and dark. So maybe I did train myself.
And probably by our own more than anything else, right?
Yeah. I sure did. So now I don't let, that don't affect me. That ain't gonna bother me.
Okay. No. Well, see, look, girl, we already started talking. I haven't even done an introduction, nothing.
Wait, are we recording?
Yeah, we're recording. But this is what I mean. Like, this is how I want it to flow. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Like,
oh, my God.
I want us to be able to
waiting for you to push.
We didn't even plan. Nothing.
Push the button.
I think I pushed the button. Shoot, I don't know. I pushed the button.
Okay.
Did I push all the buttons? Yes.
Oh, there's not one over here. Okay.
Yeah, actually, I don't know which tea I got, but it's good. The voice of your soul is breath.
Happiness is an accomplishment.
Yes, it is.
Yes, it is.
Oh, yes, it is.
It's a hard accomplishment, but it's definitely an accomplishment.
Yeah. Bland, correct? Okay.
Not Dean.
Awesome. This is my attempt at a mini intro.
Oh,
yeah, we forgot y'all were watching. Hey.
Yeah.
Because that's actually the truth. Okay, well, here we are. So this is the Here to Uplift podcast. It's a podcast all about uplifting, inspiring voices of women in particular who are handling their business, doing good work, and a lot of times taking care of their families, taking care of their communities, and doing a whole lot along the way. So I've picked some people that have really inspired me in my life that I know have a lot of life lessons to give. And Dominique Bland is one of those people. Not only is she the person who waxes me.
No spooky coochies.
No spooky coochies. I like that. But yeah, so not only is she an esthetician, am I saying that word right? Esthetician. She's a model. She does a ton of amazing things. We actually met more through friendship, dancing, community connections before we even did any business or work together. So this is really exciting to have you on and like learn more about your story. Obviously, we already started chatting and like forgetting that the cameras were on. But now that we're here, some folks are watching, listening potentially. Like this is just about us getting together to share the realness. That's my hope.
It can get a little ugly.
That's my hope, because I think when people hear the word uplift, like I've created Uplift Community Wellness Studio, where you created the Here to Uplift podcast, it's very much like, oh, it's light, it's positive, it's bright, and it's like,
they don't know the darkness
yeah,
that
but to get there, exactly, to get there, we had to go through these shadows. We might still be going through this healing work that is so much harder than people realize. And I want other people to uplift themselves, but not leave behind the hard work that it takes to actually get there, because I'm not here for toxic positivity. I want the real thing.
It is definitely hard to try to uplift yourself. Like even now I'm struggling with parenting, relationship, business. Like, it's just so much. You don't know if you're actually doing the right thing.
Is there a right thing, though?
That is the $1 million question.
Is there a right or wrong?
That is the $1 million question. I have no idea. Sometimes I have no idea what I'm doing. I just wing it, and it comes out great. I manifest a lot. So I feel like that helps me in my journey. I didn't think I would be having a shop and doing beauty. I didn't think that. I thought I was going to be a supermodel somewhere in Paris and making millions of dollars.
I mean,
Naomi Campbell, who? Like, that's what I honestly thought as a young girl. I got into beauty because of modeling. And then I got of an age to where I felt like I was aging out of modeling, because back then they had they had more rules than they do now. I got to an age to where I was like, okay, I can't do this no more. And then I got pregnant, and I got pregnant again. And I got into beauty because my last child, I did not sign my contract with my modeling agency. And damn, I'm about to get emotional right now, bitch.
I can go get some tissue.
Y'all about to get emotional already. What has it been, like 5 minutes?
Hold up, let me get a tissue just in case.
I can't believe this.
Like, we just started, hold on.
I don't really.
Put it behind the tissue. Put it behind.
And last night, my boyfriend was like, you sure you want to go on here and tell people? I'm like, some people already know.
And you have, I feel like I just keep finding the more I keep sharing things that actually are really hard for me to share, the things that I'd normally keep in to myself, I'm finding so many people are feeling it and experiencing it. And I'm like, dang it, I guess I was probably given this because I had to share it, you know? And I'm like, damn it. Like,
it's so hard, especially when I talk about, because people always want to know, how did I get from modeling to doing what I do now? And it wasn't by choice, it was by like circumstances. I knew that after having my third child and the things I went through with her father, with him taking her out of the country and me having to call FBI and looking for a Department of State, I knew that fighting him, I was going to have to find something that worked for the schedule that the courts was going to give me. I was a mom 1 week in, Northern California and 1 week in LA. I can't work a 9-to-5 doing that. There was no way I can have a job doing that. And that was like for 8 months.
Back and forth for 8 months.
Because they would not let me take her out of LA County. So for 8 months, I was a mother here for my other two, and then I was a mother in LA County for her. No work. I'm like, I'm gonna do this. So when I go to Merced, I was doing like a bartending, I was doing driving jobs, I was doing all sorts of stuff, and I was like, I can't keep living like this. And so I got into beauty, but it was actually her father that got me into it, because I was a stay-at-home mom. He took care of me from A to Z. I got bored. I'm like, I want to do something. He was like, well, find something you like, and then we'll get you into that. So I started beauty in LA. I started the classes. I started doing celebrity makeups and stuff like that. And then when me and him split, it was like, okay, now what do I do from here? What can I build from what I've learned to make sure that I have the finances and the flexibility to fight this man in court for my daughter? That was tough. And that's how I came up with working for myself as an esthetician, because I was already in beauty.
How long ago was that this whole fight was happening?
She was 2, and now she's 6. 4 years. It was 4 years ago.
Okay. That's really not that long ago.
Not that long at all.
And like when I look at you now and the ways I know you, like I moved to Merced 3.5-ish years ago, and I've pretty much known you since I've moved here about the same time. And I would never know, right? Like had those little bits and pieces where you were like, it was a hard day, or like, the daddies, doing some things.
Oh my God.
But you never
tough.
really let on to like how big it was behind the scenes.
And it was tough. I think that made me more aware of what men go through with their kids, I'm not gonna say bitter baby mamas, but with women that don't see their side. Because in this case, I was the dad. Like, the courts was not
that
messing with me.
typical position.
Yeah, he's Middle Eastern. He has money. You know, he had the power. He had everything on his side. And they see me, this black woman, in courts. That's just what it was.
Yeah.
And he won. He won. And no matter how, he had 6 lawyers. Like, it was just a struggle, and I never stopped fighting. I still don't stop fighting, but everything he did, from stealing my car to having people following me to stalking me to checking bank accounts and paying people to change things on my DMV, like, it was so much. He took my daughter out of the country for 2 months. May, June, July, August, 3 months. It was maybe like 3 months. Didn't know where she was at. Couldn't do anything because Lebanon's laws were different from America law.
Yeah.
So all they told me was, we can do a wellness check. We can find her, and if we find her, we'll let you know she's okay.
Yeah.
It wasn't good enough for me. Yeah, but
Yeah.
they couldn't do nothing. So I did my research. I'm like, I'm going out there, I'm gonna get my baby. And if I was to go out there to get her, I would have been arrested. So it was just hard. It was really hard. So that put in so much fight. That gave me so much fight to just keep going, keep trying to be successful, because I feel like success is the greatest revenge ever. But it really showed me what men go through when they want to be a dad, when they want to be a parent, and the other parent won't allow it.
Yeah.
So I'm like, damn, this is what they go through. I've never been like that. I lay down with these men, I have kids with them, and they have a right to be a father. No matter how they treat me and how they treat our children are two completely different people, and I just don't judge them on how they treat me. I judge them on how they treat our kids. So
that's interesting, because I don't feel like I hear that perspective a lot. I think it's very much like, I don't know who you're gonna be around, so you're not gonna be around my kid, and there's like a lot of separation.
Yeah, it is.
And I think when we get into relationships, or just really, even outside of children, like any situation that we start, we can't determine the outcome of it. As much as we can hope and plan and pray, like we can't see the future.
I thought he was gonna be my forever.
Is that what we always?
Yes. I didn't want no more kids. We planned her, but it really did open my eyes to how men are treated, even with child support, and just, it's sad. The family law is just not a great place to be. That I wouldn't wish that on nobody.
Nobody wants to be in that situation.
Not at all.
Okay, how did you communicate that with your first two? Because this was for the youngest, right?
Yes, this was for the youngest. I feel like they were hurt. They were damaged in a way, because they just looked at it as, this man loved us, and he took care of us, and now he took our sister away from us. So why? It was a big why. And they have a lot of trust issues because of that. They didn't want me to date again. They didn't trust another man to come into my life.
They got protective of you too.
Yes,
Yeah.
and it took them a long time to, right now, for the past year, me and her father has been okay. We don't argue. We still go back and forth to court because we don't agree on certain things, but we've been okay. And it took them a long time to forgive him. I don't even know if they still forgive him,
Right.
but it took them a long time to speak, to acknowledge him, just anything. And I would not make them say hi to him. I'm not gonna make my kids say hi to somebody that abused them. So when they felt like they were ready to speak or to forgive, I let them do that on their own time.
It's their own process.
And a lot of people are like, oh, they're kids, they need to, no. Just because they're kids don't mean they don't have feelings. It doesn't mean they don't have a mind of their own, and that they're learning and growing. So when my kids feel like they have accepted what happened and they're going to move on from that's their time.
Yeah.
That's what I'm gonna give to them. So now they're okay. They're great with it. I think everything's coming along. But the biggest challenge was, I felt like a failure as a mom. I felt just like, fuck, how did I let this happen? How do I not have her all the time?
Yeah.
So, even though people looked at me like I was just a smiler, this very happy-go-lucky person, I was dying inside. I was dying. Even now, I still. Fucking Lolo. Fucking Lolo. I still feel like a bad mom. I do, because at times I feel like I'm supposed to have her because that's my child. So I have to tell myself, that's her dad.
Yeah.
And I trusted myself enough to know that this man is going to take care of her because I chose him.
At some point in time, you had that deep trust.
Yes. Like,
So
he's going to take care of her.
negotiating, like, okay, the way we feel about each other, like, that trust is still there in some places. Even though other areas might have been broken.
How can you be nice to him when he's done all of these things to you? It's because I have a daughter with him. He's not going nowhere. We're going to have to communicate. She was a baby when this stuff happened. So I honestly had to just put aside my ego and all the hurt and just be like, this is for our child. You may have crushed me and wanted me to just crawl in a hole and die, but I forgive you.
Yeah.
I forgive you because we have a child and I don't want her to see me and him go at it.
Yeah.
It affected, I have 3 kids, 3 different men. That's not how I planned it, but it really showed me the difference it makes in a child when the parents separate and they're best friends, because that's how me and my first child's father is. We're best friends. My son is amazing. He grew up in he grew up in 2 homes, but they were both loving. Never fought, never really showed him any type of dislike between the 2 of us.
Yeah.
My second child doesn't have a father around. And even with her, parenting is so hard because you don't know, like, what the right thing to do. Like you said, what is the right thing?
Yeah.
So with her, even though I knew her dad was a bad man in some way, I never spoke bad about him to her.
Right.
I gave her, for 13 years, I always left the door open for her to realize who her father was and to give her a choice on if she wanted that man to be in her life or not.
Yeah, so she can make that.
So she can make her own decision, yes, because that's not up to me. That's your father regardless. Right. I don't have that right to take anybody's father away from them. That's me making a bad decision if they're not a great dad, but I don't have that decision to take away from them. So she made the decision on her own to just be, done. She realized that it wasn't what she wanted.
Yeah.
And she talked to me about it. She came to me and she's like, Mom, this is how I'm feeling. And
she's so grown.
Yes. And I'm like, okay, well, if that's how you feeling, I respect how you feel. And I'm trying not to say like too much, but
Right.
she made the decision to separate herself. I respect her decision. It wasn't because of me. It was her own choice, her own mind. It was all her doing. Then I have another child that's seen the fight me and her father were going through. She heard, she seen, she just felt the toxicness between us, and it affected her so bad to where she didn't know if she can love this parent in front of this parent. Or do I love you more? Like, she didn't want to be in between, and I seen how it was affecting her. So I was like, I gotta stop. It has to stop. I feel like I'm a slave to my children because everything I do is for them.
Right.
Whether it hurts me or not, if it makes them a better person long run, then that's what I'm gonna do. How the fuck did we get on this topic?
We're talking about the journey of why you started into beauty, but I'm gonna ask you, like, while we're in this place, and thinking about the kids. So, like, I am not a mother yet. I hope to be.
Yes.
So I'm gonna kind of ask you for a little dual advice. So, like, for folks who want to be mothers but maybe aren't yet, like, what advice would you give going into mindset-wise preparing to be a mother? And then likewise, my other question, so maybe whichever one you want to start with, would be for folks who are going through a fight right now for their kids.
In the court system?
What advice would you give? Again, mindset-wise, because I think that's the big thing here is, like, how you shift your own mindset.
Mindset-wise, I would just say you have to be open-minded. I mean, because your child can not have another parent in their life and still be exactly like that parent. Still be exactly like them to the T. Never met them, never seen them, nothing.
Genetic strong.
Yes, and still be like them. I mean, parenting is a struggle, and you just gotta really be open-minded. And I know I've been trying to break generational curses. My mom didn't talk to us about much. I think she was a great mom, but we didn't have the communication, and we didn't have the the knowledge that we would need as getting older. She just made sure we was fed and had clothes and showed up to every game and got us to school, did our, like things like that.
Yeah.
She was a stay-at-home mom. So I feel like in that sense, she was a great mom, but it's so much more. I don't like the way people say kids are kids. They can't speak. I don't think that's right. I apologize to my kids. When I do something wrong, I apologize all the time. Like, I'm so sorry, you know, I was yelling at you because I was scared. I feel like communication, and that me and my kids have a great bond because we are open, we communicate.
Yeah.
So I feel like with new moms, you just really have to know your kid.
Yeah.
Because times are changing.
Yeah.
Times are definitely changing, and these kids, they are changing with the time. Like, they know what's going on right now. I don't really know what's going on, so it's different because I'm not out there in the streets like that, and my kids teach me. Your child can teach you things that you would have never known you needed to learn.
Right.
And that's how I have grown from them.
So it's going into it not thinking of like, well, my mama did it this
Yes.
way, so I got to do it this
Break
way.
that.
But like,
Break that because your
I
mama.
can appreciate everything you did for me and still want to do it differently. Yeah. I hear that.
We were raised in the 90s. That's way different from now. Way different. So I can't do it like my mother did it because it's not the same time. I have to adapt to what's going on. And so that's just what I would tell new mothers is don't look back at how you was raised. You got to think about what's to come. Like, what is he going to, or what is she going to encounter in life? And you got to listen. Listening to your kids is so important. It's so important. They can stop you from making the worst decisions of your life if you just listen to your kids. I swear to God. They be knowing some things.
Like, how are you little, like 5 years old and telling me about my life? Hold on a second.
My son amazes
how it
me
is.
so much. Like, the things he tells me now at 18 years old, he's been saying since 8. And I just never listened. Never listened. I'm like, God damn it. So you got to trust yourself as a parent as well.
Yeah.
I feel like I trusted myself. Like, okay, I want to say I raised my kids correctly, and they have some sort of knowledge in life and how to respect people and how to communicate. And so let me just take what I know I've learned. Let me take what I showed them, let them show me, and then, you know, I'll grow from there. But everything I've taught them, they turn it back on me like, Mom, remember you told me this? I'm like, oh, yeah, you're right, kid. And as far as court, I would say try to figure that stuff out outside of court because you are never going to get what you want. It's never going to be exactly what you want, especially for fathers. I really, really, really feel bad for dads because I feel like I'm a rare case in this situation. It's mainly dads that get the shaft. They don't really get a fair trial or a fair order. I don't think it's really fair in that sense. Because I did not get a fair anything. They just shut me down, completely shut me down.
I'm like, we don't want to hear it.
Yeah, courts is, it's so hard. It's so hard.
But you made it through.
I'm still.
You continue to.
Yeah, I'm still working on it. It's a learning curve, definitely a learning curve, but I wouldn't wish it on anybody at all. It's really hard, Lolo. It's really hard. And then I feel like so we have our schedule. She spends the majority of her time with her father. And this is why I'm like, okay, new parents should honestly financially plan for a child because he was older. He's older than me, about 20 years older than me. And he planned. He was already set to have a kid. This is his first child, and so me having my first child at 16, I'm still wilding, and I'm like, I'm gonna party, and I have my baby, I'm taking my baby everywhere, but I didn't have the knowledge of what I should have been doing then, and so she's in private school, and she has the best of the best, and you know, she has these great tutors, and he can afford for her to have the better things in life, as in, I'm kind of mediocre compared to him, not gonna lie. Financially,
it's like, ooh,
financially,
killing it.
Not gonna lie, he has the finances to make sure she has the best of the best, and so I would want that. I want that for all my kids. I think everybody would want the best of the best for their children. So that gives me a little bit of relief that we both love her dearly, and we both want the best for her. So, and it's her dad. It's not a stranger.
Yeah, exactly.
He's not a random guy that's gonna abuse her. It's her dad. I know some dads are not good. I know some moms are not fitting. But I tell my kids all the time, when you have kids, make sure you know the person you are having a child with in and out. Family, genetics, like in and out. Do not have a child within the first 5 years. You really need to know this person and how they're going to react on any situation. Because I would have never thought he would take my child away from me. Ever. Did not ever think of that. But when somebody is hurt, you don't know what they're going to do.
No, so much comes out of hurt. It's like that phrase, hurt people, hurt people.
Yes.
In my adult life has been probably the phrase I have said the most.
Really?
And I remind it to myself, like I say it a lot, usually as a reminder, like to not take things personally. I'll say it that way. Like I know even my mom and I had like a really hard time, and she had just gotten hurt, by my dad in a situation, but it started getting projected onto me. Completely unintentional. When I tried to talk to her about it, point it out, she was like...
She kind of shut down?
She was like, I don't see that happening at all. Like she couldn't see it. And later, like quite literally years later, like we're in a much better place now. We're still like growing our relationship. But even just thinking about somebody who like I've been deeply connected to my entire life, like she got hurt. It hurt me.
Yes.
It hurt, like the
and
relationship I was in at the time, like it like trickled down, and then we separated because like we were just butting heads. And now we're like mending it again. But if we don't realize when we're hurt ourselves, like there's that tendency to project without us even knowing. Like we are hurting people. We're walking around kind of like ready to fight, not even realizing it. And then vice versa. Like sometimes we take things personally, not realizing somebody's like, well, wait, they just hurting. That wasn't even for me. Like they figuring some stuff out within.
And they don't know how to actually deal with it. So,
but at the end of the day, that's like part of being human. That's where half of our issues and problems come from. Hurt people, hurting people.
It's not great.
It's not great.
You really need to work within before you start projecting out.
But we're not trained or taught or communicated with to do that from a young age, which I think is what I really love about what you're doing with your kids. Like so many things could have erupted to been problem areas for them. But instead you communicated them and helped them like learn how to critical think and like make decisions for themselves, know that it's okay to feel the emotions. Like so many kids, I know for me, like I didn't really quite have those conversations. Like
I did not either.
I definitely didn't. So I'm like hearing this, like that's an example in itself of how transformative it can be when you just
and it helps
listen
so much
and ask and believe. And
when I was younger, I would be afraid to tell my mom she was wrong. I'd be
ooh,
afraid. You cannot, girl. You cannot tell her she's
even
wrong.
Thinking about that, I'm like, oh, my body just got tense.
Get your ass beat up in here. But when I'm wrong, I tell my kids, if I'm wrong, let me know. There's a way to go about it. You don't have to be disrespectful.
Yes.
You come at me and you talk to me about it. So, for example, my son was, he had a great job.
Yeah.
He was making $30 an hour, and he was unhappy about it. And so he wanted to quit that job to go work another job for $17 an hour. Me, I'm like, boy, you got benefits. You make $30 an hour. No 18-year-old is really doing that. Don't do that. And I think we kind of got in a little heated discussion. She said, see, Mom, that's why you always do this. You telling me, he said, you telling me, it was something along the lines of, I'm trying to talk to you about how I feel, and you're just worried about the wrong thing. You don't understand. I said, well, explain to me. Communicate that to me. How are you feeling?
Yeah.
He's like, I'm not happy. His generation, all about happiness. They do not fuck around. If they are unhappy, like all his friends, they will leave. Yes, they will leave. It's all about what feels good to them. I don't know if I would say that is selfish or if it's righteous.
But it's definitely a switch in the generation.
It's a definite switch. So that he kind of brought me back down, and I'm like, okay, well, let me know. He's like, I'm just not happy there. So he told me why. The job was isolated. It's dimming his light. You know, it's taking away his people skills because he's working by himself. He was like, I don't like what the job is doing to me. This man would rather make $17 an hour at a job he was happy at than making $30 an hour Now, me, I would take the $30 job and be like, this is just what the fuck I gotta do. But he's like, no, I'm not doing that.
You got different reasons, different goals.
Yeah.
Different
And he was like, you always told me that, he's like, I'm not, and he told me, he's like, I'm not trying to be disrespectful. I just want you to understand where I'm coming from. I was like, you know what? I'm sorry. I was like, you are absolutely right. Take the job that makes you happy. And he did. He took the job that makes him happy. And he's like, I love this job. I'm like, well, I'm glad. But he really, he put me in my place without putting me in my place. Yeah.
And as a young man.
As a young man.
All right.
He's smart. I just love my kids. I'm sorry, but I just love them to death. This boy don't have a girlfriend. He broke up with his girlfriend. He's probably gonna be mad at me. But it's just the emotional intelligence that he shows me all the time.
Yeah.
He said, I'm young, Mom, and I don't have time to deal with somebody's insecurities. And I don't want to be the one to uplift somebody right now and have to deal with their low self-esteem. He was like, I don't want to be, what do you say? I don't want to be mentally drained from that. That's not my responsibility. So I'd rather be single.
Yeah.
So that's why he broke up with the girl. And I felt like that, you know what? A lot of men I know don't even do that.
Especially not at that age.
No.
Especially not at that age. And you know what? I feel like as you're saying this, I'm like, I feel called out because I think as a young person myself, I identify with the girl. Like, I hadn't done all that healing yet, you know? And I feel like I sought that affirmation from my boyfriends. Like, tell me I'm good. Like, you know what I mean? And I'm like,
and
you know what? I'm glad he did that. Because I needed somebody to do that for me to like get myself right.
Yeah. To look within. Like, girl, you don't need him to feel good about you. But he was just like, and at this time he was only 16, 17 years old. He was 16 turning 17. And he was just like, I don't want to deal with the emotional up and down roller coaster. Is that what he said? He said, she's always calling me crying. And, you know, I try to make her feel good about herself, but she has low self-esteem and I don't. He's so just, they're so great. They're just so great. High five, Mom. So
full round of applause.
But definitely everything I do is based on my children.
I feel like I need you to like recognize for a moment. You just high-fived, right?
Yeah.
High five, Mom. I swear like 5 to 10 minutes ago, you were like, I still feel like a bad mom.
Oh my God. You're right.
But you are not. But we're all going to have those moments daily, right?
Yes.
In any role that we play.
Yes.
Mom, business owner, professional. I've been doing that a lot. Like, I feel like I'm a terrible entrepreneur right now. You know, like I should be working my butt off. And then when my health holds me back and I'm like, okay, I haven't slept for a week. I need to go sleep, which means I have to take a day off, which means I have to cancel on something. And like, then I feel like I failed.
No.
But it's day by day having to make those choices.
It is. And they're hard choices.
So hard. Because everything's important to us at this point. Like when you get to this place in life, like my family is important to me. My relationship is important to me. Like
the balance. Like it's just the balance, really trying to find the balance. That is so difficult. But as entrepreneur, some days, some weeks I would say are so bad and you feel like giving up. And then another week can be so great and you're like, oh, I got this. And another week it's like, it's a roller coaster. It's
literally.
But
and
yeah,
then trying to manage the emotions that come with that roller coaster of business and family and then everybody needing something. Oftentimes when your business is on the low end of the roller coaster, you're like,
Girl, this week, I think I had like one client every day. And
really?
Yes, one client every day. Last week, I had about 5 or 6 every day. And then I had to learn, it took me a long time to learn, like, it's just a slow week.
Yeah.
But, you know, I'll get right back to it. It'll come back. Just this week. So this week I was more into self-care, running errands, taking care of business, spending more time with the kids.
Yeah.
It's a time to just reflect on what I need to do in the future, what I can change my mindset, work out. And it was nice. I have not stressed. Usually I would stress, like, oh my God, I need to make this money. How the hell am I going to make this money? But no, I have not stressed at all. My client again,
so like,
I'll find a way.
I'm faithful is coming. And I know how to figure it out. I've done it before. Yeah.
So that's just.
Okay. Well, let's keep talking about the business a little bit.
Okay.
So how old were you when you started modeling?
16.
16. And you just did New York Fashion Week recently,
Yes, I
right?
did.
Okay, tell me about that. I need to know.
New York
I
Fashion
saw the
Week
pictures and I'm like, oh, I'm fangirling right now.
It was intense.
Yeah.
It was so intense. And I walked for a designer, Phyllis Imelda. I only wore her clothing. She's actually from the Bay Area.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I really liked that. It's from California. But we practiced our asses off for months because she did more for months from February to until showtime. Because she did more like a showcase. We did different choreography. She went on our walks different. It was just, she did a really, really great job. But New York Fashion Week, it was my first time.
Yeah.
I've always wanted to walk New York Fashion Week, and I got a little taste of what I can do next time for New York Fashion Week. It wasn't what I expected.
Yeah.
It was better than what I expected.
Oh,
so now I just have to figure out, okay, next time I know what to do. For it being my first time, I didn't know what the hell I was doing.
Right. I mean,
I know modeling and runways, but it was really, really different. It was so different. And then there's shows going everywhere. There was so many shows, so many people, and I don't want to be a part of that.
I think that's kind of like the fantasies that New York Fashion Week is this one hub thing.
Yeah, and it's not.
And then when you actually go, it's like, it's everywhere all at once.
Everywhere. like, how do I get in this show? Oh, but I want to do this show too. Oh my God, look at this show over here. And what I learned, I don't know if I should say this on camera, but what I learned is that these companies pay to get their clothing into New York Fashion, especially the bigger ones. But they're paying a lot of money for these shows, a lot of freaking money. And some of the models have to pay to even walk in New York Fashion Week. A lot of models are paying because it's exposure.
Try to get the exposure.
Yes, it's exposure. Luckily, I didn't have to pay to walk in it, but I met some models that were like, yeah, I paid to get the exposure. And I'm thinking like, damn, I don't know if I would. I don't know if I would. I don't know, because I feel like you shouldn't have to pay to be exposed like that. Maybe some people feel like you do, you know, to make money, you got to spend money, that type of mentality. But if you got it, you got it. You walk down the street and somebody will see you. So just show up at New York Fashion Week and somebody gonna spot you if you got it.
Yeah.
Somebody's gonna spot you.
Is that how it started for you?
No, my mom got me into Barbizon, which was, we thought it was modeling, but it was more like a school. And then from there, I turned 18, I started doing more shoots myself. The more shoots and the more people that I connected with, the more gigs I was getting. And then back then, it was a lot different. It was a lot more footwork. Now it's all digital.
Yes.
But back then I had to
social media, digital website, you got your digital portfolio. Like
it was so much work back then because you had to go into these agencies. And I remember going into my first one and they were like, no. I was told no so many times, and I'm like, nah, y'all not gonna say no to me.
You're like, I already built this up.
Yeah, you're not saying no to me. So I paid for a photographer to do the right photos, to give me the right look. I went back and they were like, okay, we like this.
So it wasn't even a no to you. It was like, it was a no to how it was delivered.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I invested in that. So I got signed at 22. And they were a great agency. They were a really, really great agency. But what people fail to realize is you don't get work like that all the time. You can go months without getting any work. And then a month comes and everybody wants you. It's like what's in at that time. What look is in at the time. Trends. My look is probably not in all the time.
Yes, it is, girl.
For the industry, it's probably not in all the time. I know what you mean, so I would go months without it. And then I got pregnant with my third child.
And that's when you didn't sign.
And that's when I didn't sign because the man I was with did not want me to model. And so I was like, okay, because I'm thinking this is going to be my forever after. So I'm like, okay, I'll make that sacrifice. But I got bored. Yeah. Being a stay-at-home mom was not me. A lot of women want to be stay-at-home moms, but they do not understand how boring it is. Yes. Loved the time with my children, but I need to do something. So I got signed again to an agency in LA at the age of 28. Me and my baby got signed.
It is so hard to get signed at 28.
I know.
Like, that's a deal in itself. Hold on. Like, you got re-signed at 28.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I did. And they had me on shows for BET, and they wanted more acting, and I'm just shy. It's the difference.
We're gonna break you out of that.
Yeah, I'm so shy. Like, I can model all day and pose, but if you tell me to speak and act, like, I'm just like, what do? I don't know how to.
Let's just go right to awkward squirrel. Like,
I don't know how to do that. So, no, thank you. And that led to the beauty business. Like, let me just stick with beauty. I love making women feel good. Oh my God, it is such a great feeling when they feel, oh, I don't know how to do this and I look this way. And then you show them like, no, girl, you got it. We're gonna show you how to make your brows better. We're gonna give you lashes, and and then like, oh my God, I didn't know that my brows can do this. Yeah, yes. And
so I like how you're saying that already, because you're like, I didn't know my brows could do this. So it's not you like putting something onto people, but just helping them find what's already there.
Yes, definitely. And I just love it. They get happy sometimes. I have little hiccups. Where I mess up, but for the majority of the part, they. Just seeing them smile. And sometimes my clients will come in having a bad day. And when they see themselves, when they see their brows, when they see their lashes, and they just feel beautiful, and they're like, oh, yes, let's go get dressed now. That is a great feeling.
Yeah.
That's a great feeling. Men, I used to have some men clients come in for brows, but it's not the same feeling.
It's a different energy for us.
It's a really different energy. Like, I can't hype. They can just come in like, all right. Like, no. Give me some more. I need some more. Like,
right, like, go check yourself out for a second. Feel it.
But the women, they are juiced. I love it when you give them the mirror and it's a complete makeover to them without doing much at all. That's why I got into beauty, really, too. People feel like they have to change so much about them to feel beautiful. Yeah. And you don't. You really don't. You don't even, like, you don't even need a lot of girls come in and it's like, oh, I need microblading. No, you don't. So I'll show them and they're like, oh my God, I thought I need it. I was like, no, you don't. And it's a tiny bit of effort. That's it. A tiny bit of, let's just tweak this. You don't need surgery. You don't need permanent anything. We're just gonna tweak this a little bit. You feeling yourself, ain't you? Ain't you, baby?
I love that. Okay, but then, so probably TMI for anybody listening, not for you. But I be sweating, right?
Oh my God.
Every time you go to wax me, I be sweating. I don't know why I get so nervous, even though it's never that bad.
Yes.
It never is, but I get so nervous. So I'm curious, you have people cussing you out? What's like the funniest wax story that you got? Like, I need something.
So I think the funniest one is not even about a client. It's about myself. But just tell it because I know this is like everyone's worst fear. I was in school and we were learning how to wax. And so we had to wax on each other. And one of the girls that I was close with in the school, she would do my waxes and I would practice on her. Girl, she did my wax. And then, you got to turn over. So doggy style. Yeah. I'm doggy style.
Wait, is that a queef or a fart?
I farted.
Okay.
I farted. Look, I gotta get up. So I'm like this. I need a visual. So I'm like this. And she's close. She's close. I fart. She said, bitch, you just farted in my face. And I'm cracking up. I was like, I'm so sorry, girl. It was air. It's air in
I
there.
couldn't control it.
And till this day, me and her still laugh about it. I'm like, I'm so sorry. Everyone's always like, oh, what if I fart? What if I hold it in? I don't know what it is. You know what? Honestly, I don't even know if it was queef or a fart at this point.
Okay, so for me, like, I can hold a fart in if I need to.
See, so maybe it was,
I can't hold a queef in.
Yeah,
like,
maybe
they
it was
just
a queef
happen
because
when they
it has
happen.
Air. You know how you can feel the air, and you can't do nothing.
It happens to me in doggy style, so I'm just saying. I mean, likely,
it was probably a queef
be
then.
surprising.
You really can't even freaking tell. I mean, they both make noises.
They make, yeah.
They make noises. One probably just smells worse than the other. Another client I had, though, it was her first time getting a Brazilian, and as soon as I did that first, her fist came up, her face came up, and she swung, and she stopped. I said, was you just about to hit me? We started cracking up. I'm sorry, Dominique. I'm so sorry, girl. But it was her first time. So.
Oh, my reaction.
I said, you was about to hit me. But other than that, no.
I was just nervous that, like, the very first time, I thought I was going to, like, close my legs, like, and then get all the wax stuck or something. You know what I mean? Like, I was worried. And you were like, nope, that was it.
Yeah.
Like, so easy.
It's not like, that bad at all. It's not. And it's...
Although I work in reverse. I don't know why. The places that are supposed to be easy are hard, and the places that are hard aren't too bad.
There's nothing back there. There's nothing back there, and you'd be like, no, not today.
No booty for me today.
Not today. Like, okay, Lolo, you got like 3 hairs, so just get that off real quick. Some tweezers.
Next time.
It's so funny. I love beauty. But you know what makes life beautiful to me is the challenges. I find beauty in the challenge, because if I never went through any challenges, I'm not learning nothing. I'm not going through anything. It's just, I'm existing. Yeah, stagnant, very stagnant. So I find beauty in my challenges. And that's how I look at it as well. Like, oh my God, look at where I'm at right now. The people that I meet, the connections that I have.
I love that.
The kids getting older, me learning from them learning from me still. Relationships, men and women, I'm still working on that. I'm still working on that. We're just so different. Yeah. So sometimes it's me. A lot of times it's me, because fuck them niggas. No, I'm just playing. Nah.
What's that Doja song? Niggas ain't shit.
Yeah. They, you know what? Okay, how do you feel about Andrew Tate and Kevin Samuel? You don't know them? Really?
Girl, I don't think I know.
A lot of women do not like their podcast, or even Fresh and Fitted. No?
I don't.
Lolo, okay.
I need to check it out. I feel like I'm always on this, like, wellness podcast thing, so, like, I need to kind of...
Yeah,
I need to look more. I need to look more, but yeah.
Them 3, women hate them.
Ooh,
Hate them.
I probably will too then. I don't even know. I don't know.
You see,
but at the same time, like, I like listening to perspectives that are different than me too.
And they're
totally
I'm like,
different. Is that really how you think? Like, hold on. And then it makes me question, like, where did I get this thought from? Like,
a lot of women don't like them, and it's an unpopular opinion, but I find some of the things they talk about very interesting. And I can learn from that. A lot, oh, fuck him, and blah, blah, blah. But I'm like, you know what? I need to look within myself to see why y'all think that. Because majority of them think that way about women. They do. And some women don't want to change it. But I'm like, let me look within. Because if everybody is saying this about women, these men are saying the same thing, let me see what I can do to kind of change it a little bit. So I don't really hate them. Some things they say is really out of pocket. But a lot of things they say, I can understand why they say that.
I think it goes back to your value of open-mindedness that you kind of mentioned earlier. You know, like, that seems to kind of trail throughout your life. Like, in every challenge that comes, like, keep an open mind. How do I figure this out?
I mean, you don't want to be closed-minded. You don't learn anything from being closed-minded. And then set in your ways as well. I cannot stand somebody that's set in their ways. I'm not going to lie. Like, just switch it up a little bit. It's okay. It's okay. I promise you it's going to be okay.
Yeah.
You might find something you like when you switch it up. Like, damn, I didn't even know I was into this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so challenges are good. On the days that the challenges just get, like, to be a little too much and you feel, like, really low or down or like you're going to crack, how do you pull yourself through that? What's that wellness look like in those days?
How do I pull myself out of that? That's a great question. The days that are challenging, how do I pull myself out of that? I don't even know. I need to think about this one. Let me sit here and think. Let's see. The days that are challenging. This is what I do, because I just had a challenging day. What I would do is I would call my sister-in-law. If she don't answer, I feel like that is my go-to person. You know, you always have that go-to person to just, like, vent to and see what their perspective is, because they're unbiased. So I'll call her, and if she don't answer, I have to sit with myself and figure out what the hell is wrong. Like, why am I going through this? I really have I have to sit with myself. I have to talk to myself.
Yeah.
And I sit there and I think of all the why question. Why is, like, the number one word in my mind is why. Why? Why are you feeling this way?
Mm-hmm.
And then from there, I answer myself, and then why?
5
And then,
whys,
yeah,
girl.
why? And then I'm like, damn, you're right. I'm talking to myself, you're right, you tripping. Girl, get your ass up and do something.
Like, hold on.
Yes.
It ain't that big. Hold on a second.
Yeah, so challenging days, I ask myself why, and then I look on the brighter side of things. Like, okay, this day was a bad day, but what good came from it? Because there's always some good that comes from something bad. It's in a disguise, but there's always something good that comes from something bad. And I really, really believe that. Even though I didn't understand at the time of going through court, I felt like the good that came from that was I was able to build myself up without the, I'm not gonna say the struggle. Yeah, I am gonna say the struggle. Without the struggle of trying to figure out how to take care of all my kids. Because leaving this man, I left everything. I packed my kids and what could fit in my car, and I left. I left the house, I left the cars, I left the jewelry, everything, and I just left. Now, if I had a baby with me, that would have been hard.
Yeah.
I have a village that helps me, but you don't want to always burden them with your issues. I wouldn't have been able to have the freedom that I have now to get my business going, to go to school, to just, build myself up to the time where she's going to need me. So I feel like the good that came out of me and Ronnie's situation of going to court was that the whole time I was unstable, she was stable.
Yeah.
So that's the good that came from the bad in that situation.
She was covered.
She was great. I didn't have to worry about her, where she's going to sleep tonight, because I was homeless. I didn't have nowhere to go. I mean, I had my mom in Manteca, and I'm always welcome. I always have a spot, but like when you're staying with somebody, it's not your own.
Yeah.
And so you kind of still feel like, fuck, I don't have anything. And that's how I was for a while.
Places.
Yes, that's how I was for a while. And you don't want to take kids in that situation. So the good that came out of that is what I take is she was great. Mm-hmm. My kids were great because they have a village in Manteca. They have a village in Louisiana. Like, they could go anywhere. So they're great. And that's how I look at my challenges. What good came from this challenge?
Yeah. Because there's always something.
Better.
Even if we can't see it in the moment, there's always something. There's
always something. And that's what I look forward to. Like, damn, this is why this happened. I don't know what I would have done if I had to, figure out what I was going to do with my baby, with school, with not having nowhere to go, it would have worked. I would have figured it out because I always going to figure stuff out. But she would have been so unstable. Yeah. Just with the moving around, because I was moving around. And she didn't have to. She didn't have to go through that. So that's the good. That's what I take from my challenges is like, what is good that comes from this? There's always something. If you look deep within, you're definitely going to find something good. And that's going to turn your mood around like, damn, I did that.
You got to get through the discomfort of sitting with yourself to get there, though. And I think that's where I'm at now. But I could not do that, I would even say like 4 or 5 years ago.
Really?
I couldn't sit with myself when something was like really, I'd just go into action.
Why?
Do.
Why do you feel like you couldn't sit with yourself then?
I think, when we think about distorted thinking, for me, it was the challenge of everything negative that happened, I took responsibility for. So when something happened in the world that I could not control, somehow I made it my own.
Damn.
And when I would sit with it, I would create shame, blame, like everything, but towards myself, to where I would just be tearing myself down. Like my mind would just be going. And like now with therapy and finding my own healing practices, part of how I got into yoga too, all these things, there's still not one answer solution, because at the end of the day, it's like, what is coming from within?
Yes.
And within, like my intuition versus the voices and noise in my head, we're not aligning. Like my mind will be going. So when people are like, like I just heard this message in my head that was like, do this. I'm like, I don't trust what's in my head, all right? Like I trust what's in my gut, because that's what works for me. So everybody's a little different, but I couldn't figure that out. It took me a long time. And I actually first learning how to cope with anxiety, depression, and just like some of those thoughts, and then transitioning into shadow work was like what got me to a place where I could sit with myself. So
what is shadow work?
Shadow work is really just the idea of like, there's negative parts of us, whether it's coming from trauma or just something that is just part of who we are, that we're deeming negative. They're not actually negative, but maybe they're negative like by society. So let's say selfishness, right? selfishness is deemed like as a negative thing in society. But sometimes selfishness, however you think about it, is really just self-preservation.
Okay.
Or like how you're taking care of yourself or how you're prioritizing yourself, even if it hurts somebody else. That may be what you need in this time of wellness. So it's recognizing that like the shadows we create that we try to hide and put in the back burner are actually necessary for us sometimes, and they're part of who we are to move forward.
Shadow
So
work.
it's kind of that thing of like, even when it's like, ooh, like people be like, you your daddy's child, when it's something that they don't like, right? And it's like, okay, but that's part of them.
Yes.
And they maybe need to figure out like, how do I make this part of me work for me so that it doesn't become a negative or toxic thing in my life? So I mean, I'm still doing it. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I'm still doing a lot of the shadow work, but figuring out what are these things about me that I deem negative. Maybe it's low self-esteem. Maybe it's like, I don't like this about myself. Selfishness is one of them. Like, I feel like I have the curse of the giver sometimes, where it's like, just give, but it's because like I'm craving that people pleasing or approval.
Is it hard for you to receive?
It's very hard for me to receive. Very, very, very. So that's what I mean. Figuring all that stuff out, but I have to sit with it to figure that stuff out. Yeah. And the sitting was uncomfortable because the voices would be so loud.
So now,
it wasn't until I could calm my gut, calm like my body physically, yoga, meditation, all these things, that I could actually start hearing like the truth that was within.
So now you don't mind being solo. Like, you can sit with yourself.
I don't like it. I'll do it. I don't like it. I'm not gonna lie. I wish I did. I still identify as codependent. I'm working through it. I'm working through it. It's like I don't want to be codependent, but damn it, I am. You know, like it's the recognition. Like I know it's there, but yeah. So like I don't like being alone, but at the same time, I kind of consider myself an ambivert, because if I'm like peopling, like I need the time by myself. So I don't mind being by myself. But I don't like feeling alone, particularly when my emotions are high. So it's like
So you don't mind being by yourself, but you don't want to be alone when your emotions are high. But being alone when your emotions are high is what's needed, correct?
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. Okay. And I think it's a matter of the choice, right? Like being by myself, that's a choice. I'm going to go be by myself.
Yes.
Being alone feels like, oh, I don't want to be by myself, but now I'm forced to be by myself. Like. Or when it's emotions and thoughts, it's like, no, nobody can solve this for me. I have to be with myself by myself to figure this out. So no, I don't like it. It's uncomfortable.
Yeah,
like
it
is so much easier to go to this, and that. Like I'm gonna go bury myself in work. I'm gonna go get a hug or get some cuddles in, like whatever it is. But at the end of the day, that's not really gonna heal anything. It's gonna cope it for the moment, like soften it up.
I'm still learning that. I think that I have been in a relationship for so long, like I'm always in a relationship, I feel like, or there's always somebody. So I'm never alone or never by myself. That recently I knew that I needed to be by myself. I needed the time alone, because I like being submissive. I like being a submissive, soft woman, and I like to follow my man's lead. But because of the men I choose, I adapt to who they are. I'm like an adapter. If this is how you are, I'm going to adapt so that, we can connect and everything. So, but adapting to someone else, I lost.
You lose pieces of yourself.
Yes. And for me, doing that for so long, I felt like, who the fuck am I?
Yeah.
Who am I? I don't know, because I adapted to this person, that ended. Now I'm adapting to this person, this is ending. So now, who am I? And I'm loving this time by myself. Like, even though
who
I'm
you
figuring
are at
out,
your core is coming
yes,
out.
yes,
blooming.
Even though I'm figuring it out with my person right now, but being by myself is allowing me to trust my decision making.
Yeah.
It's allowing me to trust the voices in my head. It's allowing me to just find my own voice and I'm not taking somebody else's voice. Like, you need to do this, you need to do that. Follow. When you follow somebody's lead, you have their voice in your head.
Right.
And so instead of me now listening to their voices, it's mine. It's my choice. It's my decision making. It's me trusting myself. It's me finding myself. And I know a lot of people are like, oh, women are toxic when they're talking about they're finding yourself, but it's a real thing.
It's a thing, though. It's just because y'all don't want to fight.
But
they'd rather us be submissive, I'm just saying. But
they don't understand that women adapt to, not all women, but certain women, they adapt to who they're with. And it's not even them.
Yeah.
And they lose themselves.
Yes.
And finding themselves is,
and when you get to the point of like, wait a second, I need to find myself, it can be beautiful
Yes.
if you do it.
Mm-hmm.
But if you feel that urge to like, wait, something's not aligned or this isn't me, and you just like try to ignore it, it's never gonna go away. It's just gonna keep bubbling up and bubbling up.
I was always afraid to be alone, but now I'm just like, this is so peaceful. This is just like really nice. Listening and adapting to who I am. Yeah. Not to anybody else, but to who I am and what,
what
I
do
like.
Want right now?
Yes.
What do I need?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I love it. Yeah. I love this journey.
So. I love that for you.
Yeah. I know my man don't, but.
Well.
Sorry.
Well, sorry about it.
I know. I had something else to say and it just slipped my mind. Adapting. Yeah, it was there and now it's not. I have something to ask you. I don't remember.
Yeah.
I have no idea. I had something to ask you. We were talking about adapting. Adapting to men.
Being alone.
Yeah, I don't remember. Fuck. And it was good too. I was waiting.
That's the worst.
Waiting for a break to say and I just freaking forgot. Damn it. Oh, it was so good, girl.
So you're like, what?
It's gone.
It's gone. It's fine. But yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember. How long has it been? It's been an hour. Girl, we just been talking.
But I think, with everything that we've talked about, like I'm hearing these common themes of like keeping an open mind, knowing that it's a process to learn to trust yourself, but once you do, any challenge that comes your way, you can find the good in and you can figure it out. And at the end of the day, like you've had this journey that is so much happening behind the scenes. Like the people around you would not know what's going on in your life. And yet, not only do you walk around as beautiful from the outside looking in, but like from the inside too. Like you've been doing that work to find the beauty within yourself, within your life, and helping other women to do the same.
True.
And I think that's powerful.
And I know a lot of people that I know may have known the story and they know the deeper details that went with the story, because it was a lot. And I feel like I always talk about it, and I'm gonna always talk about it because that was, how do I say this? Let me see, how do I say this? That situation is what woke me up. It shook me to my core, to where I needed to change. I needed to do something different. This whole, the court, losing my baby, all this, and I say losing because, she was out of the country. It was a fight trying to get her back. That really woke my ass up, being depressed and trying to fight back. So I tell the story to people that I know, and I feel like I'm gonna always tell it because that was something that happened so detrimental to me that it changed me. It completely changed me. And I don't know where I would be if it did not happen. I'll probably still be a submissive ass woman living in a house miserably. Unhappy.
Not anymore.
Being unhappy, not like, anymore. Okay, I'm following your lead. I probably would have still. But I have to fight. I don't think I fight as much if it doesn't have to do with my children.
Yeah.
Like for me, I don't think I'll fight that much for me.
Because you figured out what's important to you.
Yes. Yeah.
You figured out what's worth fighting for, what's not.
Yes. And having children and having a boyfriend that's not the father to them, there was a debate. And the debate was, man comes before the kids. Did you see that debate?
Mm-mm.
You didn't?
I hear this debate all the time, though. All the time.
I have an opinion on that. So they say the man is supposed to come before the kids because the man is going to be the provider. So you take care of the man so he can provide for the kids and provide for, the women and all this. Now, I believe that.
That's until the kids come first.
I believe that in a marriage setting.
Okay, right.
I believe that if you're married and you guys have children together.
I'm listening.
I feel like, yes, you put your husband first because he's going to take care of his children and his children's mother. So, yes, you put your husband first. As far as girlfriend, boyfriend, no. I don't believe that. I'm not putting my children before a man that hasn't fathered these kids, because we break up, you're gonna break up with them, and that's gonna be a heartbreak for them. I don't know any man that has stayed around, probably except for the one now, but hasn't stayed around for my kids after we broke up. You know, they just disappear.
Yeah.
So for me to put you above my kids, it's just out of the question. I don't believe that. Now, if we're married and we have the same children, I mean, we birthed the same kids, we have the same children, you're their dad, I'm putting you first. Boyfriend? No. No way. I just can't. I'm not going to do it. I'm just not going to do it. No. And it hurts a lot of people's feelings when I say that. And I hope they understand you just cannot come before my kids. A boyfriend could never come before my kids. It sucks. I tell my friends now, I have 2 best friends that just became first-time moms. One of them, she's married, and they have their child, and then my other one, she is single, but daddy is still around. And I tell her my biggest regret with having children and having boyfriends. I wish I never did it. I wish I never did it. I wish I never brought a boyfriend around my kids. It's an impact on them. They don't like it. And then, especially if you have little girls and you see, I didn't have men coming in and out of my house, but she's known me to be in 2 relationships outside of her father. And I wish I never did that. So I tell my friend that your baby is a baby right now, and you want to protect her innocence, because now people are crazy. You don't really know what they're up to, and you don't want to leave your kids with boyfriends, and
really
I don't care how much you trust them or whatnot, but
sadly.
Get in a relationship and don't let him meet your child. I know some people do not agree with it, but that is one of my regrets is I wish.
Until it's time or period?
Until it's time.
Okay.
Until it's time. But introducing men to your kids so soon it's not a good look. Not for the children's sake, I would say. They don't need that. They don't need that. So that was one of my biggest regrets is introducing boyfriends way too soon to my kids, because it doesn't work out. You would want it to work out. Everyone wants it to work out, but it doesn't. And now you're putting your kids through that relationship, and now you're getting in another relationship, and they got to deal with that. Now he's different.
Break up too.
Yeah, and then you got to no. So that cycle, I would say to break, because I seen that growing up. So I'm thinking it's okay, right? My mom did it. So that's one of the generational curses. I'm not doing that. It's probably a little bit too late because my kids are grown. So my youngest, she only knows the one man in her life outside of her father. And that's it. And that's the only person she would ever know. I wouldn't introduce her to another man this is my boyfriend. Now, if I was to get married, then that would be a different story. But outside of that, no. So that's another thing I would tell mothers is hold off on introducing them.
Really think about it.
It affects them. Yeah. My kids they tell me, because when your kids are young, they don't know how to express themselves. Yeah. But as they get older, they learn. So my son, we have these conversations, and I'm like, damn, I never knew you felt like that. They didn't like some of the men that I was with. Yeah. They didn't like me having a boyfriend at all, because your boyfriend wants your time. But your kids want your time. So trying to split it, your kids don't want you to split it. They want you all to themselves. Yeah. And I wish I would have known that then, because I would have ended that shit so quick. But they didn't want to tell me. They were too young to tell me. So now he's telling me, and I'm like, damn. If I was to have another child, which I highly doubt I would ever have another kid, I think this child would be they come out perfect.
You're like, I figured it out.
I figured it out. 35 years old, I figured it out. Yes. Come out so perfect. My first was a test. I had to test the waters. The second we got a little better. The third, we're almost there.
We're getting there.
But the fourth, got it. I'm not having the fourth.
It ain't never happened that way, though. No.
I honestly wish I had somebody to sit down and talk to me about the kids and how much it took before I got pregnant, or even during my pregnancy. I never had that talk.
It happened so young.
Yeah, 16, it didn't
know.
Girl, I was taking my kid everywhere at 16.
And your 18-year-old is still fantastic.
Yes,
you didn't even have the conversations, and look at how he turned out.
I don't know if it's because of me and what they see me go through with relationships, or if it's just because of the generation they're in, they don't want kids.
Shoot. The world makes you question things. The world makes you question things. And I think this young generation, so the teens and young adults now, are seeing so many of the struggles that we're going through. Like, our parents, had to fight to get a place to stay, but when they found it, they could stay. For us, it's like, it's hard. The system is not made for us to find a home in the same way that it was 20 years ago. Like, to have one place of residence. Like, nah, we move it. We move it and groove it. Like, our generation is like multiple location. There's no real permanent address. Like, we're constantly moving and finding things. Not everybody, obviously, but that's kind of like the trend. And then now we're giving birth to kids who are now growing up into young adults thinking like, okay, well, there's no attachments to anything, which includes children, includes relationships. Like, they see how attached we got and then not getting what we want. Because we're assuming the attachments we put out will be like our parents.
And it's not.
We don't get the same results.
No. What I do find so refreshing in the Black community is how fathers have stepped it up. In our age group, I feel like they have stepped it up.
It's a beautiful trend of daddy love.
Yes, they are. I know a lot of Black men that are fantastic fathers. They're just so active and they're there. I didn't see that a lot growing up. It was like not a trend, but it was a lot of Black girls I know didn't have their dad. Black boys didn't have their dad. They were in jail and they were in the streets. But now Black men are just so active and they love being a dad. And then the other thing is, how in different communities, the Asian community, Indian, they stick together and they don't kick their kids out at 18.
There's a lot more multi-generational households. For
sure. And now I feel like a lot of the Black community is more like, I'm not going to kick my child out at 18 because, he was just 17 yesterday, couldn't do nothing.
They ain't quite ready yet.
I'm not going to kick. I remember hearing that. Once you get 18, you got to get out. My mom never did that to us, not even to her sons. But I always would hear that. Now, no. You stay until you're ready.
Right. Stay until you're ready. We're going to figure this out, but you still got to pay rent, all right?
Because it's hella expensive right now. To kick an 18-year-old out.
It's so different, especially in California.
Exactly. You grown now. Not quite. You were just 17 yesterday.
Hold on. I can't even find a job that makes enough money for me to pay for an apartment by myself. There's no way at 18.
But my sister-in-law's Punjabi, and then even in the Mexican culture, they stay until 25 or until they find a husband.
It's just a different
I don't really know
point.
about the men, honestly. But I want to say the men was able to stay too. But I just love that. Do not kick your kids out so soon. They are not ready. That is like kicking
when they say they're ready. All right.
Yes.
Give them that chance.
Give them a little responsibility. Pay a cable bill or something, but don't kick them out. Please don't kick them out. It's like a setup for failure. I'm damn near. I keep saying damn near 40, and I'm still trying to figure life out. I'm pretty sure my 18-year-old ain't figured it out.
Well, they gonna figure it out.
Not to be on his own.
They're gonna figure it out somehow, some way.
Yes.
Okay, last thing you want to share for the people?
Girl, you really be having me thinking. No, I don't know. Maybe I'll bounce off of you.
I think my biggest takeaway would be, honestly, it's the listening within part. No matter what challenge you're going through, as Dom has clearly given multiple examples of, there is a way. Even if you can't see the way clearly, right in this very moment, there is a way not only to get through it, get out of it, whatever that situation is, but there's a way to grow from it and become even more that person that you're trying to be, the person you're seeking to be, that you are within, that might just be hidden or clouded by some of those challenges in the way. But you will get there so long as you believe that there is a way.
Yes. And I always say, just get rid of fear. Fear stops you from doing so much in life. It stops you from even finding out who you truly are, because I was afraid to do a lot. Get rid of fear. Fear is, kick that shit to the curb. And you will find out, like, oh, I can really do this. No. So, yeah, I would say get rid of fear.
Yeah.
Because, girl, I was scared of everything.
But you did it.
I did it.
You're doing it.
I'm not
We are doing it. We're in the active. We're in the action mode.
Yes.
We are doing it. Well, thank you, Dom, for coming on
Thank you,
today.
Lolo.
Thank you for this wisdom, for the transparency, and sharing the stories, because I know there's so much that you hear.
Yes.
And you don't always share in the same way. So thank you for sharing here.
You're welcome.
We're going to break this public speaking fear thing.
Oh, yeah.
Kicking fear out the way, right? You know, we're just going to kick it out.
You know what? You really be making me bite my own words. Like, I'm choke you with your own words.
But that's how we'll wrap it up.
Yes.
So that's the end. Thank you for watching if you're watching, listening if you're listening, and hopefully there's more to come. I'll put in the show notes and everything, information, so you can connect with Dom if you got some questions or connection points after. That's it. We did it. Cheers to an empty teacup. I was like,
it's somewhat.
a little drip left.